Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour on this wonderful April 10th, 2020.
Hello
Um,
and welcome to
I
Live Coding Happy Hour on this.
can hear
It's me.
myself.
It's me. Wow.
Thank you, Brad. Let us get right into introductions. Brad,
Hello, Brad Tilton. I'm a developer advocate with the developer program at ServiceNow, and I forgot to mute my iPad when I put the YouTube up, and that's rough. I've spent about, 11 years developing on the platform, and yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
awesome. Jared,
Hey, I'm Jared Munt. I'm a ServiceNow architect that works at Finite Partners and focuses on integrations, security, and all platform internals types of things.
awesome. Thank you, Jared. I'm Andrew Barnes, other developer advocate here at ServiceNow. I've been on the platform for over 5 years. I do lots of interesting things with integrations and managing development cycles and custom applications. And just excited to be here with you fine folks today and from the chat. So feel free to interact with us on the chat. Let's go around and introduce our beverages of choice for today.
All right, I've got a St. Arnold Springbok. So it's St. Arnold's local Houston brewery, and
Aw,
yeah, it's
nice.
a good beer.
And Jared?
I have a Colorado kombucha from Rowdy Mermaid in Boulder, lion's mane, turmeric, and pineapple kombucha.
Ooh, and it's called Rowdy
Rowdy
Mermaid.
Mermaid is the brand.
Nice.
Nice. That's a good brand name. I like it. And today I have got a Big Wave Golden Ale. That is from the Kana Brewing Company. I don't know where that is. I don't think it's local to me. A lot of the things I drink are local, but I don't think this one is. And that's what we got today. So super excited to be here on this Friday. I know folks out in the world are getting a little stir crazy in their homes. And I know it impacts us on our team. We can't travel anywhere, but we're work at home pros. So we're a little used to this being at home thing. Jared, you don't go into an office either, right?
I'm full-time remote unless I'm on site at a client, which, as you'd imagine, has been pretty slow these days.
Yeah, I imagine that has been pretty slow these days. So, what are we going to work on this week? I think, if I recall, this is a follow on to your dynamic reporting that we worked on in February.
I think it was the first show of January, actually. We're probably a couple months removed from that episode already. And yes, this
I
is the
thought you were going to tell
sequel.
me it was March and like time had traveled, slower, but apparently it was January.
Yeah, I think we're a full 3 months off of the first episode. And yeah, we're coming back to the scene of the crime to clean up the code, make the UI a little bit better, and hopefully add in one or two extra features on top of that.
I love adding features, and,
It-
and
it-
cleaning up code is useful and should be done. It's not as fun usually, but I
right?
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Should do it.
Future
Your
you
technical
likes
debt episode might not have the excitement of adding new features, but we'll probably get around to doing a little bit of both here.
Awesome. So why don't we just recap a little bit before we drop into the share on what we did the first time? I know I included a link in the description, so you can go back and view that. If you want the whole picture, but the snapshot, I think my memory is really shady, was that we were adding people to reports dynamically um, for sending out. On like a scheduled report, it would only send to the people that it was relevant to based off the data that was contained inside the report.
Exactly right.
Is that it?
It is out of box. The list of recipients to a scheduled report is static. You're either adding users or groups or email addresses to that list. And so what I wanted to do, and we learned how to do in that previous episode, was to kind of work around how the out-of-box items worked, run our own script that would walk from the scheduled report up to the report itself, and look at, and where we left the last episode was that we hard-coded like the assign to value or the assignment group.manager value.
When we were doing the testing.
Correct. Yes. And so we proved that it would work, but it was ugly. It was all, on a per report basis. It was all not production ready.
So
nothing that you'd want to turn over.
Proof of concept level.
Exactly.
All right. And we're going to turn this into more like product level.
Yeah. Something you could turn over to your business analysts or whoever's generating reports, project managers, make it intuitive, make it look like the rest of the platform.
Hilariously, taking something from a proof of concept to product level is like 4 times the effort.
Yeah.
It's working, but now I have to make it work well.
Right. And it's way less fun.
Yeah, but it's way more useful. All right, let's drop into the share and get rolling then.
All right. Let me know how that looks, if I need to zoom in or anything.
I don't think a 1 or 2 zoom would be sad.
I think maybe at least 1 zoom.
Okay, going to 125.
Let's see how that's looking. It's looking all right. Let's just center it a little bit. There we go. All right. So
all right.
Why don't we show it in action, and then we'll dive into the script.
Excellent. So what we have here is a report, just basic report, all incidents by state. We have it scheduled to run weekly. We can click the execute now button, but at the end of the episode, what we were looking at was, and I did kind of recreate my browser tabs by reviewing the past video.
That's one of the nice things about doing this, right? Is what the heck did I do last time? Oh yeah, I could just go look.
I just had the browser. I haven't touched these browser tabs in 3 months, and it's just been sitting on my desktop since then. But no, what we're doing here, we were using the Explore toolkit, and we were using the gs.execute now command in lieu of our clicking the UI execute button.
Okay.
This is faster. It doesn't go into that async queue or anything like that. It just runs it.
And for those that don't know, if you're still out there in the wild and somehow you're watching this, but you don't know what Explore is, it's a share item. So you can head over to share.servicenow.com, but really it's developer.servicenow.com. And then you go to connect and then share to get to all of these great shared items. And we might even talk more about share later.
Yep, I'm a fan of Explore toolkit and a lot of those items that are available out on share. So by clicking that, if we look over at our outbound emails, we see that we have a new one that was sent, and the recipient list appears to be Fred Luddy at example and Beth Englund at tests. So let's review our settings here.
Those people weren't in the users, though.
How did they get in there?
Exactly. So at the end of the last episode, we got the logic to either append the dynamic users to the statically configured users above, completely replace the static users above, or do an intersection. Only send it if that user appears in both the static list and the dynamic lists generated by the report.
I'm mostly a memoryless machine, but I know we spent quite a bit of time deciding on what those three things would be.
It is.
I
And-
remember us going, well, how would we actually want it to be? And those were the three that we settled on, was the just completely scripted, replace those statics, do the intersection or the additional, add them together. And so that's I don't, did we actually make all three work?
We did not. We ran out of time when we were working on the intersection.
Okay.
So and that's the only bit of offline development that I've done since the previous episode. I wasn't familiar, had never used an array intersection command in any of my past projects. So I did look that up, review some of the JavaScript available for that. And I did, like they say,
Add that in.
Copy and paste off of the internet without fully understanding what it does, because I'm in dev. And let's check it out. So this function I found appears to do what we want it to do. It works with strings. I'm not sure how it will work with glide records or sysids or whatever we're working with above, but I was thinking that would be a good place to close the loop on the previous episode and then jump into this one.
I'm fairly certain that we've got some array utils in ServiceNow instances. I believe there's an intersect in there.
Well, I know we instantiated the array util up here.
Drill into that script include. Let's see what functions are available to us here. We could go look at the docs, but we could also just go look at the functions and methods and see what's available, and see if we've got a sure array, convert to array.
Unique.
There's the diff. Intersect. There we go.
Even easier.
Jace, I agree with you. I still love the click through too.
It is wonderful.
It's magical. Like, I want the next level, which will do methods for me as well. But just getting to the correct script include is good enough for most days.
All right. So it appears that we run this by putting our arrays in as arguments here.
Yep. So it should be pretty straightforward to get, and it returns the intersection as an array.
Okay, so down here, instead of my line, we can I suppose we want to do users array, group array, and address array, and we no longer need.
Now, those aren't the same types of objects, right?
True.
So, I don't know that intersect. Will intersect actually help us there at this stage? Because if we're doing a true intersection, are we going to say the users that we find in the report, are we going to check to see if they're in that group? Or are we going to say the groups we find, we check against the groups, and the users we find, we check against the users?
I think it is going to be a simple version like that.
All right.
Because they're all going to be just sysids behind the scenes. We'll just kind of have a net intersected users, intersected groups.
Okay. That might be a little weird. Because if I
Yeah.
put a group in, I would expect it to know, like just as a user, I would expect it when one of the users in that group and that group exists in here. I would think that I would want to keep them, because I would probably put user groups here as my method, and then I only want the people that are contained in those groups who have things when I choose intersection. So we might have to do some more complicated. We might have to unfurl the groups
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
users.
I think you might want to grab all of the users from all of the groups, combine them with your users, get a unique list, and then use that as your
And then
intersection.
intersect it against the. Yeah, I know that's more complicated, but that's that's how I would expect it to work as an administrator of this thing. And so there was a question, what's intersection in this case? What's that mean? And it's when I have two groups of things, and I want to find where those groups of things overlap. So if I've got a list of users in group 1 and a list of users in group 2, the intersection of that is where I have the same user in both groups. Lists, not groups. All right, so what are we drilling into here?
I'm going to refresh our memory on who is actually in the assigned to fields on this report.
Okay, so we have a sense of who the people are so that we know what victory looks like when we press buttons.
Right. And
so you drilled in to see which users have notifications turned on?
yes, I didn't want to get
Nice.
tripped up on that again.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm kind of on the fence on if it's worth digging into that particular feature or going into the user interface and getting rid of this line here where we are hard coding it into the assigned to field and making that be a little bit more dynamic.
Let's clean that part up. And then if we have a little time, we'll do the user group unfurling thing, because that's a nice to have, whereas this other thing is a need to have.
I concur. Yeah. And so I'm going to put that action back to append to static. And we will save our code here and do one more test as a baseline to make sure that that works. So this looks like we have some people from the dynamic portion and
some people from the static, which is what we expected, right?
Yeah.
So when we looked at the report, how did we tell which things we were expecting?
So this appears to have a few more people in the assigned to list, and I don't remember specifically why they were not.
Some of them, so you checked the notification is enabled, but some of them may not have email addresses, because that's how some of these records go. So
I'm looking at over here on the right side.
Do look like they all have email.
So who isn't in the list? Who isn't in the notification that we expected to be in there? And let's just go take a look at one of them. Because there's Beth and Bud, and Bud's not over here, right?
Right.
But
Fred
Beth is.
and Beth.
So why isn't Bud in there? Is there some
David.
So did we log out who our users were anywhere so that we could look to see what this was doing?
We did not. We just have a simple while loop.
Yeah, let's either, yeah, we're not, is this this would be an inline synchronous operation for the script running, wouldn't it? I'm asking, can we debug, or do we just throw in a log?
I believe this execute now is not synchronous, and
I don't believe it's synchronous either.
And neither is the Explorer.
Explorer. All right. So we just have to throw in a log. Boo. That's fine. Let's throw in a log. Because I'm curious if we made some logic mistake when we were doing something with the objects in the array.
We should.
So we want to just log report get value assigned to, right? So just copy that from the line below and paste it up in there.
We should also log the that assigned unique. I know I have had issues in the past using array utils and not getting what I wanted to from it, which is about as specific as I can be on.
Wildly specific. Sort by created. And come on, throw in a source next time so we could sort on it.
Script.
That is not a source,
perfect,
sir. All right. So that is what just ran in the one run, and that is how many entries? 25, and how many were in the report?
These aren't unique though, so there's
sure, but the entries in the report should be
that's true.
That many because that's what it's looping through. This should be 25 if we scroll up.
Oh,
okay.
How many incidents are there?
Yes.
Yeah.
25. Yep. Okay, good. That part is good. So now
let's see what array when we tell it to be unique. Let's see what we get after that. So after line 26.
Actually, let's before line 26, let's see what it is. And then after line 26, let's see what it is. So let's get the assigned array before. Nice.
And then do you like
unique array after? Yeah.
And then you can pass in another parameter for a source, and we can make Andrew happy.
It will make me delighted. That will make me very. There we go. Look at that. That's lovely.
Ah, beautiful.
Jace is about to give us the notification debugging, which we all love to do. I want to see if our code is suspect before I dived into the notification debugging. So our expectation was how many unique users were there? I think 6 in the report. So I expect the array after to have 6 things and the array before to have 25.
Yes. Do we want to do a length?
That sounds good.
Because that's all I care about at this stage is just how long it is. And if there's 6 in the output afterwards, then I suspect that it's a mail notification issue and not our scripting.
All right, 25.
I think I saw 25 and 7.
7.
I was guessing on the number of users in that report. It looked like 6, but it could have been 7.
Yeah, so
On
that
the
looks
4th
right.
tab. I think it's, this tab. Is it 7? Yeah. All right, cool.
7.
So now if we cared, we'd go check out Bud and see why he's not getting a thing. But I don't think we care. Because we're not here to debug mail notifications.
Yeah,
Beth is in there.
Let's make it look
working.
pretty. Absolutely. So switching gears to the UI and no longer array debugging, which could be done offline. I'm sure it's something fairly logical. So at the end of the episode, we were spitballing some options, some other places on the platform where we had good looking items such as this, for example, right? Like here we want to have something that we can pick instead of users directly out of the user table, but something that we are still picking dynamic fields off of whatever table this report is going on. So something dynamic based off of report.table where we are picking fields off of that record. So the idea in the last episode was on a UI policy. There's a related list at the bottom, and you have that tree picker style where you are saying if this reference field, you have the little plus next to it. But what I didn't like about that was that you had to have a related list. You'd have to have another table. You'd have to have one row per field. For example, if we wanted to say, in this case, incident dot assignment group dot manager, you'd have to store that in a kind of a one-to-many related list. So I was thinking about other options on the platform where that same type of thing occurs, and the best thing I could come up with was on notifications. So, and if within really any notification, who will receive has this user group and fields.
Yes, it does.
So this is my recommendation for making it look pretty. So this is dynamically based off of what table is selected on the same record. And we have the ability to dot walk and go multiple layers deeper. We can have 4 people, we could have 13 people, whatever, on the same form, no extra tables, all by adding one extra field. So are there any other places that I'm not thinking of?
There can't possibly be any objections to using this method. This is the method for this, right?
That's my plan. So
this looks great to me.
So let's take a look at that real quick. This is a dictionary field that is a type of...
I don't believe I've ever used a field list dictionary item like that I created. I don't think I've ever made one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But in this case, let's figure out how to do it. And that way it'll be more out of box and less hacky than... Because on the user interface, I'm not very adventurous. I on the back end, I feel very comfortable trying new things, but on the
user
UI,
interface, I let designers and research and all sorts of people get involved in that and curate these things and test them and debug them and make sure they work on a gazillion browsers. And I just use those things. Then I get to do whatever I want on the back end.
All right. So full disclosure, I did look up this field prior to today, earlier this week. I went through the step that we did, and I did notice that this visible field, 4-field list, out of box is unchecked. So when you are adding a column to a table, this will not be one of those options out of box. But to save some time,
You cheated.
I
looked ahead of time. You're a cheater. This would have been a fun thing to run into this wall. It's all right though. It's fine.
So I did this box, like Chuck did on one of the reference episodes that I keep going back to from November of 2017. It's he runs a background script and checks that box. That's the same step I did.
And we put big asterisks next to that and saying, yes, it's possible to do these things. No, don't call support over support for a thing that you're not allowed to do.
Yeah, there's usually a reason that things like that aren't checked. So just know that.
Yeah. So
and really, if you're in a team of developers and you're doing this, I would enable it, leverage it, and then disable it back, because you need to have a really good reason.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we want to call that field?
The
people that I want to send this notification to.
What do we word that in the notification?
Is it fields to send to?
Because that seems like a nice place to steal the name from. I think you're right, though. I think it is. It sounds like it would be fields to send to, because
fields, something like that.
Dynamic fields to include.
I'll look it up.
Thank you, Brad.
It is. I'm waiting. My kids are all streaming video on their iPads, so. Users, groups, in fields.
Users / groups in fields?
That is the name. It's /.
Okay.
Recipient fields is the dictionary name, which seems better.
Oh, so that's the recipient _ fields is the dictionary name?
Yes.
Or is there just a label specific to notification?
No, that's the dictionary name, is
nice.
recipient _ fields, which is good. It should have a simpler dictionary name.
All right, so let's put this up. Right under dynamic action. And of course, we see nothing. Whenever I'm running around and reverse engineering something, I find myself going right to this field, to this dictionary, and let's.
Yeah, so I'm expecting that it needs something like a reference to know which table object to look at.
Yeah, so let's just add attributes. Let's add dependent, and let's add reference qualifier and see what other places on the platform are are using with this type of field list. So attributes, there's some multi-text. Looks like dependent and dependent field are populated, and reference qualifiers doesn't look very useful.
So dependent and dependent on field seems like the right way for this one.
All right. So back into our field. And this is global. And early in episode 1, we decided not to do a global scope. We decided not to do a scoped app. So that's why I'm not in studio right now. Okay, so we're on our field. Flip over to advanced view.
Now we have dependent field.
And dependent on
Pick the table.
report.table.
Table. Is that a thing? It's got to be. I just don't know how to get to it.
Hey,
There it is.
There it
Look
is.
at that.
All
Report
right.
Table. Let's see if we get fields. That'd be really great if we do. I love that you use the history like natively. Like you just go to the history. I want a hotkey to go there though. Like I want a hotkey to switch to history and then hit a number, and it takes me to that.
And have
history.
1, 2, 3
Yeah.
from top to bottom.
Yeah, like hotkey of history, and then 4 takes me the fourth thing in the history. Maybe Arnaud will build that into the.
does seem like a good SN utils.
It does seem like a good
Enhancement.
SN utils enhancement.
Somebody take that as a to-do. Put that on his list.
Okay, so we still don't
Aw.
have anything yet.
Now, there were 2 fields that were populated with table when you looked in the list view. It was dependent and dependent on field. Did both of those get populated when you filled in the one on ours? So dependent on field, but there was another one that is just.
Yes.
And he's looking at the XML, just so everyone knows,
Oh, I do only have
which is
one
fine.
browser window, but
One
yes.
browser window is fine.
Yep.
So it was populated in there.
Yeah, here's what the XML showed. Dependent.
Right.
So there's probably business rule or something keeping those in sync.
So we have to wonder then, does it not allow for a dot walk for that? Because that is my first suspicion, is that dependent can't do dot walking.
Agreed. So let's quick and dirty.
So throw a table field on here and verify that that's how we build these. Nice, I like it.
Table name. Yes.
This stuff right here is why sometimes I will do things in Scratch instances versus my Works development instance.
Absolutely.
I need a reference field that's to table here, but it's definitely not going in production.
Agreed.
I just need to prove that this is how to use this thing.
Yep, a PDI plus SecOps plus just dangerous trashing of it leaves your customer's dev instance squeaky clean.
And you know the where the Scratch instances, whether that's a PDI or somewhere else, is up to your organization. I know I've done some work on where all the Scratch stuff needed to be in the Scratch instance for our organization.
That's not a prod instance, right?
Oh, it's totally a prod instance. It's just for people we don't care about.
Oh, okay, got it.
So here we are. I've updated the dictionary to be dependent
Alright.
on the same
Right.
table field. So I think that's
So now we have to decide, do we pull that data in to a reference field for a table? When we change the report, we populate
right. Yeah,
the
it can be
reference
a
field. That feels terrible and horrible and dirty, but if it doesn't work any other way, then it makes for a good user experience and is sustainable. I would tolerate it in this case.
agreed. It's something that could be kept in sync but not displayed on the form.
Yeah, not displayed.
Yeah.
Doesn't really need any maintenance. You just make sure it's always in sync with the, whenever report changes, it changes it, and bam, you're done.
And we're going to do assign to .manager and assign to manager and assign to manager.
So we're going to validate that our field is working before we try and actually build the connective tissue to make it work permanently.
Absolutely. And
Alright.
did you see that little
The rendering?
blip where it cut off after 3 letters? And I had 5 items rendered or 5 items selected, and now we got selected back down to 2. So I'm having flashbacks to another earlier live coding happy hour where it wasn't a recipient field, but it was another type of reference field where I think it was Chuck also mentioned when you add these to the form, it uses that default 40 character string value along with the field type. So
yeah, truncated.
And I'm going to just cheat because this is, no, actually I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's already on there.
Yeah.
List view.
You could do the just use a client script, show the field.
Good. I always go to the list view for things like that for me, though, because I know it's in the regular list view. I don't have to
Yeah.
put it there.
And it is editable.
There's
Okay.
recipient fields, and we just need to change its length. Its
Max.
length is there
Max
by
length.
default, so I don't know why it's not on yours.
So let's change this to something.
Yeah. And I tend to standardize on the sizes there. So
Standard to certain
like
increments.
database size increments. Yeah.
Yeah.
As if I care about the length, then I'll, I do other things, but I just tend to sync on the same standard sizes that most ServiceNow fields use because they're synced to database sizes. And if I'm happy with 800, I'm usually happy with, a slightly higher number than 800. There we go. Look at that.
All right.
That looks like what we expect.
Exactly.
And now let's link that up so that we use it, right? Because we've got to reference that in our script versus our hard coded area.
So I'm going to do a trick like I did on the first part. I'm going to right click on this record in Explore Toolkit. and then change the default GR to current.
Okay.
And we can run and prove that it does load up our glide record. And then I'm going to take the first part of this code. Yeah. Until the looping. And then we'll just use a single word with the array, which will output that on the right side, along with
one of the very handy dandy things that
Mhm.
Explore does.
It is correct. Yeah, that's not an out of box feature. That's unique to the Explore toolkit. Yeah, so let's see.
Thank you, Jace. Jace says it's 5,000 and out of box.
So our very good.
Nice.
So now I think it's time we'll want to split that. And I forget if I have to go to a string first or if I can just split from here.
You should be able to split that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, looks
Lovely.
good. Looks good. And then
now this is one of those cases where the way you want to do intersection will make us not need to do extra logic for this thing. Right? Because if we wanted to do that extra logic, we'd need to detect whether or not they were groups or users. But that's definitely another layer of complexity on this, which I'm not sure I want to play in that, because 2 layers of complexity multiply.
okay, so this part appears to be working, where we take the value of that field, split it into an array, loop through the array, and then now we have what we want to query for. So I'm going to move this portion up into the loop that will run for every record. And now what are we going to do? We have report appears to be equivalent in this case to the incident, because we're executing the report. We're seeing how many records there are and who was in certain fields. So it's going to be dynamic based off of which table the report is reporting on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can do and get value or possibly get element of that. And I'm just going to make up some bad names for things because I know naming things is always a fun part of the program. So it looks like and this is what I like about if you don't want to look up at docs and you just want to brute force, try a bunch of things quickly. So it looks like the non-dot walked fields look good, but the dot walked items are not coming.
Okay.
Or possibly are blank.
Yeah,
That's
or the
another-
the data
they could easily
may not
be
have
blank,
managers.
right?
Yeah.
And most of the out of the box stuff doesn't have managers, so
Yeah.
so go add some.
So let's
go add a couple of managers to Beth, and then to Beth's whoever you mark Beth's boss, and whoever you mark to Beth's boss.
Let's make Beth and Fred each other's managers. That always works out.
Oh, that's just mean. Cyclical
It
manager
works for our
loops
use
is
case. Our use
bad.
case.
But expense report time, it could probably come in handy.
That's right.
So
All right. So Fred gets a boss. That's Beth, and then Beth gets a boss. That's someone else.
Not Fred.
Not Fred, please.
How about Don?
hey, I have a boss. All right.
We still have a bunch. Get value.
Is that more or less than we had
Yeah,
before?
I don't know if
remember.
that's more or less. It doesn't. It looks like it's the same amount.
Yeah.
That looks like it could be a little different.
Yeah.
Can we adjust our report to just Beth?
That's a great idea.
So just filter to, or to Fred, because Fred has Beth, and then Beth has someone. Yeah, Jace, we were confused too. That's why we're narrowing it down.
Yep, if it works the first time, no need, but
Is Fred. All right. And save that. And now when we're in Explorer, we expect to get at least manager, the dot manager and the dot manager to show up. And a whole lot less entries.
make it a little easier to read.
All right. So we've got managers and sysids and assigned to and sysids and manager to manager not set and manager not set.
But on this one, we have
manager not set.
2 managers. So this
that's probably the one where it's Fred and then Beth and then Beth's manager. but the ones where it was Beth, it doesn't.
Right. But because we've gone past one layer of dot walking, I'm going to assume that we could go to 3, 4, 5 levels.
Yeah.
Check to see if 9, if that one is Beth's manager sysid, which I think we marked as Don.
Yep.
There we
And
go.
it's done.
All right.
Nice.
So this method, we are not doing a get value. We ended up doing a get element, which is the kind of the lesser used cousin of a get value. Unlike get value, it does not return a string. So we will probably want to turn that into a string before we toss it into the array.
Absolutely. That is a good call out there, because yeah, get value is great for putting things into arrays, because it stringifies it, and then that makes you don't have any weird 25 entries of the same thing in your array of 25.
So
you've not been a ServiceNow developer until you've run into that problem a few times.
That's right.
yeah, and the get info, get log tries to be helpful. It converts it to a string for you. So when you log it, it looks like it's all configured properly.
But if you log inside your loop and look at the values for each iteration, you see that it changes what the sysid is for the new entry and all of them. So
That's right.
which is the way you figure out, oh yeah, that problem again.
So where we ended here, for each item in that UI field that we added, the field list, we're going to do the get element.
Okay.
And for if the get element exists, then we're going to drop that into the array.
Nice.
And then we'll continue on, use our array util, and then our switch, and then I think we will, see what happens. So it looks like after this, we had 4 people after the deduplication step.
And that's what we would expect, right? Because we narrowed the report down to Beth and Fred. And so that's Beth and Fred and Don. And then who's the one more? Does Don have a manager set? Oh, we're appending to static. No, we're
deduplicating before that step.
Yeah, we're not. So who's the 4th one? Maybe Don's got a manager set. We just didn't go look. But yeah, I expect 3 until I know that Don has a manager.
All right, let's move
that back into our
all
report.
of this over here. I think we're one step away from moving this into a script include. I don't think we're going to get to that today, but
not going to
logically, that's the next step.
Yes. And that's a pretty easy step from here.
Yeah.
Moving it into a script include. So you ran the Explorer and we expected some results, but we didn't get one. Oh, we have an error. You're jumping around and I know I can't keep up.
No, I know. I apologize for that. Just the something's not triggering in the new loop.
So we adjusted some variables. Did we adjust them back for getting it into running it in Explorer directly?
I did. I took that current trick off of the top of the script.
Okay.
I removed that. The other items, I don't imagine.
Not pleasing.
Hmm.
Did we save?
I believe I did. I
believe
think
you
that
did
was
too.
that was me doing the shift tab
Okay.
code sorting script.
Oh, wait, no, you did get the. We haven't done anything weird with the new reference field. Do.
And this is the magic of the live coding right here.
Well,
unlike the
pull
live
out
demos.
pull out some of those uncommented and see if we get anything.
Yeah, do we still have the, I thought I still saw down later that we have the arrays being logged still.
Correct.
And we haven't somehow caused your calling script in Explorer to be wrong now, have we?
I don't think so. The SysID here, F568.
The SysID shouldn't have changed, right? Because
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and you hit execute also, right?
And I saw some logs for Explorer logging some things.
Yep, and that's one of the default options. Just like a background script, it does throw what you ran into the syslog. But filtering that out,
That's
nothing useful.
a while ago. That's the current time.
Yeah.
Those are things from inside our script. So we're definitely doing things inside the script.
So when I did the execute now, it looks like it's doing the run as sysadmin. And that's why
So we're clearly in the script. We're clearly getting sysids for the queried users. What is...
And no recent errors or warnings. Just some client-side standard things.
Yeah. At the bottom, so
Yeah.
where in our condition do we actually like send things back out of this script? Like, where's it's probably at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Where we actually do things.
Yeah.
So
We have
that's in the cases, so that's fine.
It is.
And we didn't change the array name or anything weird like that.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going. I think I did a copy and paste error where I did not copy the full text. Let's see if we can find the because remember, this is we're tricking this. We're starting with a condition field. It's looking for an answer equal true, answer equal false type of statement, which may have gotten dropped in the move to explore and back. Yeah. So I think there was something at the bottom that said if ready to send, or something like answer equal ready to send at the bottom, which it's going to default to true unless
it hits that else.
Unless we come up with 0 users, which that logic might not stand. But let's try this one line addition. And new email just now.
New email. All right.
There we go.
Yay! And now, does it contain who we think it should? Beth Englund and Fred and we didn't validate whether
if Don had
is someone who can get emails. But we got Fred and Beth, which is what we expected for sure. Yay.
We did.
That's victory then.
That at first glance, manager Don is active, has an email, has notification enabled. So we can, that's looks like the next part of the troubleshooting.
Yeah, but that's notification troubleshooting. All right, let's drop into, and maybe at some point we'll do a whole show on just the notification 101 troubleshooting that I keep a list of handy whenever anyone in Slack asks. My notifications aren't working. Here you go. Poof.
That's all right.
If you find a thing that this doesn't solve that, let me know, because I will add it. I haven't found a thing in a long time that didn't solve. Well, that was great. So now we have a way for users to pick the groups and user fields from our report. We didn't quite link up that to be automatic from our report yet, but that's a simple logic business rule to keep that in sync for us. But the interface is the right thing that we want. And it's consistent with other places in the platform, which is a good thing to do, right? So if you've done this for notifications, you can do this here in reports, and makes it feel similar, look and feel similar. And we've now got to the point where we can generate these users, and look up to see if they have data in this report and send it to them if so. This is super cool. Like we're getting close to like done with this particular feature. I want to use it. I don't like mailing reports, but if I mail reports, I want the recipient to want it.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to continuing on this. I do have 2 or 3 additional features But like on most of these live codings, the things that I thought were going to take up time went fast, and the things that I thought would go fast took up the time. So
Yep.
The one thing I'm sure of is that I don't know where the roadblock will be. Because whatever I think it will be, and the time sinks, they're at best guesses. As in all development, right? Is you think, oh well, I'm going to hit a tricky point around this thing, and that ends up being easy. But the thing you thought was going to be easy was the tricky part. But still, somehow, our estimates of complexity are still about right.
exactly, that's the magic behind it.
is you're still roughly right on how complex the thing was. You just were wrong on which parts of it were the complex parts. Which is funny. So thank you, Jared, for joining us. We now need to close out this wonderful show with our ratings of our tasty beverages in original order. So Brad is first.
I'm first. I had the St. Arnold Spring Bach. It's a pretty good beer. We broke 90 this week here in Texas, so I needed something that was not the stouts that I had been drinking.
The Imperial Stouts are shelved once you hit 90.
That's right. So I'm gonna give it a 3.75. It was solid, not spectacular, but yeah.
Nice, Jared.
I'm gonna go with a 4.5 plus on this. It is the favorite. It's a light kombucha. It's not doesn't bite your face off. So it's it's solid. It's one that I usually have around the house, and I'm gonna keep it with a good score.
So a staple for you.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly.
And my Big Wave Golden Ale. I don't know if you can tell, but the choices that the variety at my house is getting low. This was this is like one of the last beers that I have that's a step up from like a Mick Ultra. Like I might have to venture out and get some beer for next week's show, because I don't want to have to pull out something like a Mick Ultra, because that will make me sad. And this is 3.5. One wild about it. I drank it, but I won't buy it again anytime. Someone puts it in front of me, I'll drink it. So that was super awesome. Join us on developer.servicenow.com. Coming up soon, we've got the Knowledge 20 and the Creator Con that's associated with that. As we mentioned last week, if you joined us then, Brad and I are running the hackathon this year, and that's going to be over May 1st through 3rd on the weekend. And we will be doing some interesting things around that as it's a virtual hackathon. So we'll have more details on that to come, but we'll be engaging with the broader community as detailed as I'll get with that for today. Anything else that we want to mention, Brad?
I don't think so. Hackathon, if you haven't signed up, at least go take a look at the page. We've linked to it from the developer blog.
Yep, and the developer newsletter will go out next week, so look for that in your spam inboxes. So expect to see that on Monday or Tuesday. I know it tends to go in my spam box, so I have to go look for it. So I have to know it's coming. Thank you, Jared.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Brad. Thank you, the chat, for engaging with us as always. We got Upside Down Andrew really contributing today. Jace, MHC, thank you for contributing today, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great and safe time this weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.